Hey guys, Motorcarnut here, and today we're talking vacuum leaks. Any combustion engine, internal combustion engine, is going to have vacuum lines. Therefore, you could have a vacuum leak. Now, a vacuum leak, a lot of times it could be hard. Some of them are easy. You could hear the hissing sound. But why is that so important to an engine? Well, an engine, when it sucks in air, the pistons create a vacuum. Now, when the air is sucked into the intake manifold, there's usually a mass airflow sensor, airflow meter on the older ones, anything that meters, the computer knows how much air is coming in. So let's say you have this hose, is anything on the vacuum side, not exhaust side, all right? And you have a hose that has a slice here and it's hissing, all right? That's a vacuum leak. So now the computer thinks it's only whatever air is coming through here. It doesn't know what to do with that new air. So what it does, it gives more fuel because now it has more air. But in the meantime, it really doesn't have more air because it has a vacuum leak. So what it does, it makes the car run rich, and therefore it's going to start to misfire. And it's going to run lean, actually, and then it's going to give more fuel in the meantime. It's going to give you a rich mixture, and that's going to make the car misfire. Or a lean mixture and make the car misfire. It has to be precise to complete the combustion cycle in order for an engine to run properly. Among the check engine light going on, there's other things that could happen. So why is that so important? Well, a lot of people misdiagnose a leak. Let's say you can't hear it, all right? Or it's just a little bit of a crack, just enough that it's thrown off the fuel trims. Because if you have a scan tool, you could look at the fuel trims, long-term and short-term. Short-term should be close to zero, fluctuating back and forth, close to zero. Long-term should just be about zero. That's a good running engine. All right. So now, if you have a vacuum leak and you look at your fuel trim, the short term, it can be all the way. It depends how far they go, but some will go 25, some go more. It could be pinned to 25. So let's say, I'm jumping all over the place, but to give you an idea, let's say you have a vacuum leak and it's over here, right? So now you look at your scan tool and it's reading 25. And what you do is you hit it, right? And all of a sudden, the engine's going to smooth out and you're going to see those fuel trim, the short-term fuel trim, from 25 is going to go all the way back to zero and then, then right back up again. So that's how you know you have a vacuum leak. But a lot of people, the car's misfiring. Let's say this hose wasn't over here. Let's say if it's something else. It could be a purge valve that, that's purging, and it could be stuck open. It could be a bad brake booster. I saw that where it's internal, and when you hit the brakes, it smooths out. When you let go of the brakes, it misfires. I seen crazy things like that. So let's assume you have a hidden brake line or a plastic line that's broken, it has a hole in it. All right. So now you look at if you don't have a scan tool, a lot of people, what they're going to do, the engine's misfire, and is another thing. Let's say you do have a code reader. All right. You get even a cheap code reader. Sometimes they can view live data, and you'll see the fuel trims. And you're looking for the short-term fuel trim. Is basically you want to see the short-term fuel trim. All right. So now you have misfire codes. Let's say you have a misfire code. Some cars will say that you have excessive idling. The car is idling high. They'll think it's the idle speed motor. It's a computer. It only knows what it's programmed. All right. It's up to the person diagnose it to know. All right. So you may get a code misfire. Usually when it's a vacuum leak, you're going to have a P0300. That's a multiple misfire because the computer doesn't know which cylinder is misfiring. Or you can have a P0301 for the one cylinder all the way up to P0308, like for an 8-cylinder motor. And you start replacing plugs, you start replacing wires, coils, all right? And it don't fix the problem because you don't hear that hissing noise, or it's like I said, sometimes it could be very, very hard to find. But an easy way is to get a cheap scan tool, go into engine control module, and look for the live data. And then you scroll down till you see fuel trim short term. And then you'll see fuel trim long term. You can get both of them. Now, let's say you have an engine that's running rough. Now you have It could say you have a bad fuel modulator, a bad fuel pump, because all of these things are symptoms. Like I said again, the computer doesn't know. Doesn't mean that it's set them because of that. All right, so now if you see your fuel trim is pinned at 25 when it's supposed to be 0 or fluctuating back and forth, negative to positive near 0, all right, now you know you got a vacuum leak. So forget about all the other codes. Let's try to pinpoint the vacuum leak. And vacuum leak, like I said, it could be anywhere on the intake manifold. It could be anywhere. You see here? Okay, it sucks the air in. The cold air outside goes through the filter. The filtered air passes through the mass air filter sensor. So basically anywhere from here to the cylinder head. If there's an unmetered air, that's considered a vacuum leak. Now that can be a crack in this hose. See these hoses that are flexible? Underneath could be a crack. All right, now it could be the throttle body. And another thing, you can have throttle body codes too. So you have to, if you have, like I told you, the fuel trims are high, that's a vacuum leak. All right, so now it could be anything. It could be a crack in the manifold. It could be the manifold gasket. So what do? You got to be careful. If you're not, you do this outside. The exhaust is on the other side. You can spray it with a carburetor cleaner, but this is highly flammable. You don't want to spray it directly on the intake manifold. You can catch fire. Have a fire extinguisher close by. Do this outside. If you're scared, if you're not comfortable, don't do it. All right. And what you do is you have the engine running, and you spray pretty much everywhere. Pretty much everywhere you would think there would be a leak. And if you see the RPMs change, like let's say the engine's running rough, like, and you spray it and it goes, and it starts to idle nice, and then it starts to run rough again, you found the vacuum leak. All right, and you don't overlook, like I said, anything. It could be a lot. Anything from the metered point to the head. That could be any one of those lines, any type of a car. This is a Honda. It could be any type of a car that can do it. I had a Volkswagen that had a purge hose. It was plastic, and right at the end, for some reason, it was rubbing against the metal because somebody didn't put the clip back, and it made a hole. But in the meantime, the vacuum line was kind of covered. I couldn't see it. I was going crazy, and I finally found it. I couldn't hear it. I can't really hear those high frequencies anymore. That's bad. So, but when I sprayed, I saw the RPMs go up. I said, okay, it can't be the valve cover. The valve cover was, So the only thing could be was that hose, and I wasn't buying it. I thought maybe the O-ring. But as soon as I took it off, I saw a hole. I'm like, oh, there we go. And in the meantime, that car was throwing idle too high, idle speed motor bad, fuel pressure regulator bad. So, it was throwing all these codes. And in the meantime, it was just a vacuum leak. All right. So I hope I explained it to you. Guys, you always can. I answer all my questions. You can look at my all my videos. I try to help everybody out. If I'm missing something or something else that you want to add, please do. Information is power for everybody. I don't know everything. I try. I learn every day. So, but when you have a engine that's running rough and you have a check engine light, and even if the light is blinking, a lot of times you can just look to see if it's a vacuum leak right away by looking at your fuel trims with a cheap scanner and take it from there. Because, these new cars today, if you have a Misfire, let's say it's not a vacuum leak, let's say it is an ignition coil, you still need a scan tool to know which cylinder it is. You can take the plug out. Let's say you could take one plug out, it makes the engine stall, take another plug out, it doesn't do any difference, then there's something wrong with that cylinder. But usually a vacuum leak, like I said, it affects all the cylinders because that's the air coming into the engine to all cylinders. It doesn't have a favorite. All right. So hopefully that'll help you guys out. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, and talk to you guys soon. Thank you very much. Bye.